in this process in your research, have you studied values as the filter through which we see things as relevant or not?
So what do you mean by value?
Just
You're
values.
using a term that doesn't come into use until about the 18th century.
Okay.
So what do you mean by it?
Well, what I mean by it is just a little more Jonathan Haidt.
Yep. Okay. Is that what you mean by it, by value?
Yeah, like if there's certain things that we hold, more valuable than others. Not like family values or whatever else it's been hijacked. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So value is, like, there's two meanings to value. One is I really, really want it, or it is really, really good. Which do you mean? Which do you mean? So is food valuable to you?
Yes.
That means because you really, really want it or need it, yes?
Yes.
Is truth valuable to you?
To me, yes.
Is that because you want it, or do you think it's good to have truth?
I don't know if I can distinguish the two.
Okay, so somebody who doesn't want truth, you don't have any objection to them because they just don't want it. Are you happy with that?
No.
So you want truth because it's good.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so values, other than I like it, and that doesn't, okay,
No, right.
I like it. So values, when we're trying to talk, values over here is like, oh, well, it's attached to deeper things like the true, the good, the beautiful, something like that. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, that's the first part. This is going to be a little bit long. This is a really big one. Okay, and then the distinction comes from, it's a little bit hazy, but we know it's clear by David Hume.
Okay.
There's facts and there's values. This comes out of it's built, and they map it onto the earlier division between the subjective and the objective. So when I say facts, do you say subjective or objective?
Objective.
Objective. When I say values, where are they? They're
Subjective.
right. Do you see that?
In that, yes.
Okay. Now, and then we worry, are there really objective values? Because if there's no objective values, then there's no objective morality. And we do that. Okay? Right?
That's why I go like this all the time. I'm worried about that.
Well, that's my rapid handwriting. Okay, and what's going on there is a presupposition that we know what a fact is. So this is called the fact-value dichotomy. A dichotomy isn't just a distinction. A dichotomy is there is a difference in kind, a difference in reality between facts and values. Facts are out there, objective. Values are in here and purely subjective. It's a fact-value dichotomy. So if there weren't any human beings, there would just be the facts, something like that. I'm not saying you have to agree with this. Do you understand that that's the framework?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens is we immediately think we know what a fact is, and then we worry about values. What is a fact? What is a fact? Have you ever thought?
It's something we value as the truth.
Is it?
But not saying it is. I'm saying that's the story.
So, if we don't value it, it ceases to be a fact?
No.
Okay.
Okay, keep going. No, this is good. But I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying this is kind of the conversation you
I'm not attributing anything to you,
Yeah,
Tim.
yeah.
I thought we were playing a game here.
No, yeah. Go.
Okay.
Just stripping away the
No, it's
part of
awesome.
value from your
Keep going.
definition.
All right. So, here's how we got the notion of fact. This is from David Hume. And the basic idea is, right, you probably heard also this, you can't get ought from is. I can describe how everything is, but that doesn't lead to any conclusion of what we ought to do. How many of you have heard that? Okay, so that argument is, okay, so if we're talking about mere logic, okay, you need food, you shouldn't, and having food is good, and therefore you ought to eat food. So I can make the argument actually logically valid if I just put in a premise that X is good. Because you should do what is good. And then David Hume, and most people don't know this argument, said, well, goodness isn't real because I can't sense it. He's a radical empiricist. This is the same David Hume who said, I can't see causation, therefore it doesn't exist. And what's really interesting is the scientists accept the first argument and not the second. And there's no difference between them. If you hold with Hume and you can't see goodness, you should hold with Hume and you can't see cause. Cause doesn't exist because you can't see it. Okay, that's the first problem. Second problem is, so Hume's position isn't strong. It depends on another argument by Moore, but let me try and do it another way. Let's try and go what they thought a fact was. Let's just follow that line a little bit further. So a fact is something like, there is a table. Or you hit on it. There's the table. Okay, so notice what I think a fact is. I think I can have a single statement that corresponds to a single state of affairs. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's do out here, single state of affairs. Let's say Hume is wrong and the world is causally related. Because that's science depends on that. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, are there isolated single states of affairs? So let's try one.
No.
What caused the sinking of the Titanic? Well, it hit the iceberg, but the iceberg had to be there, which means there had to be a particular ice age, which means the sun had to be doing this, which means the earth had to be this. And then the impurities in the steel are interacting with the temperature of the water. The impurities in the steel have to do with the coal deposits in England, which have to do with what's happening, 300 million years. You see? The cause of any event is the entire previous history of the entire universe. What we do, this is serious work, by the way, what we always do in science is we pick and this is not me, these aren't my words, we pick what is causally relevant.
Wow.
So every judgment of the situation is a judgment of relevance. Next thing, are there can a sentence or a statement on its own have any meaning? No.
No.
The table is over there. What am I relying on? What's a table? Well, a table is a piece of furniture. There's another sentence. What's for?
Context, everything.
So how do you pick which of all this network you're focusing on? You make a judgment of relevance. So facts can only exist in terms of judgments of relevance. Now, is relevance a fact or a value? If it's just a value, you can't, in the sense we were talking about over here, then you can't be wrong about it. I mean, I like ice cream. That's relevant. But you can be mistaken about what's relevant, can't you? Of course you can. All the time. Oh, then it's a fact. But it's not just a fact, because it's a judgment. It's a way of you finding one thing more important than the other. You see, relevance is lower than the fact-value dichotomy.
Oh, wow, thanks for building that.
Right. And that whole dichotomy collapses. The theory-data dichotomy collapses. That one, the analytic-synthetic, beloved of Kant, Quine just absolutely destroys that. All the dichotomies that were given to us
Yes.
by the Enlightenment
Right.
have all collapsed.
Well, subjective, objective.
Yes, exactly. Relevance is transjective.
Yep.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, and
Please.
a lot more, not right now, that I'm going to reflect upon.
So the answer is, the idea that values are a thing,
Yeah.
and that they are sort of owned by us and are like sort of filters, I think comes from that framework, which I just tried to deconstruct for you.
Yes.
There is no so you understand the difference between a dichotomy and a distinction. A distinction is pragmatically useful. I can distinguish between facts and values pragmatically. Of course I can. Just like I can distinguish between the inner world and the outer world pragmatically. Distinctions are fine. Distinctions don't make ontological claims. Dichotomies do. The dichotomies need to be undermined. But you're asking me a question about the nature of things, not just about how we're trying to get something done. That's how I answered you.
Thank you.
There's a lot more to that argument.
Yeah, no.
Every argument I give you, I'm asking, I'm taking and trying to.
This is, it just feels very akin to the whole busting out of just propositional. I mean, that's-
Yes, it's the same thing. So what I did when I was, and what this is going to come out in the book Reimagining Religion. When I was doing the 4th year seminar on the cognitive science of religion, I started by saying, I'm not going to give you a definition of religion because we have this gridlock grammar. We're locked into this way of seeing the world, and if you try and see religion through that glasses, you will only see a distortion of it. I'm going to smash those. It's like Wittgenstein. I'm going to release you from a picture that has you in its grip. We're going to smash those. Then we're going to look at how you find the world intelligible and move around in it, and we'll see if the sense of the sacred emerges from that. That's how I taught the course.
So I'm doing that right now, and I want to know if I were to say where I would normally say value, what would I say instead?
Ooh, great.
So give me an example.
I value I really value my marriage.
Okay. So is there a way to have your marriage without you finding it relevant and salient and important to you?
My wife makes sure that
Okay.
Yeah.
So your evaluation is actually bound to the facts,
Yeah.
right? And can you be wrong about the kind of importance or value you're giving to your marriage?
Yeah.
And so the relevance is bound to the facts is bound to the relevance.
So it's not
transjective.
It's transjective. Yeah.
It's Desmond. It's
Yeah.
Metaxu.
Yeah. Yeah. So is this a part of the autopoie? This is part of care.
Yeah. In a higher sense. And
Yeah.
this is so when you say when we're saying autopoiesis, obviously, like because of embodiment, that takes priority. But this is Evan Thompson, deep continuity. Your mind is also alive. Your mind is also autopoietic. It is literally making itself out of the information that it's taking in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also autopoietic.
Yeah.
So you're doing this, and this, and those are all intersecting and overlapping. This, and by the way, this is not just in Clark's side. This whole reorientation is taking place in biology. Biology is going through a huge paradigm shift. The scientific revolution happening right now is not in physics. Theoretical physics has been moribund for 60 years. Biology is the place where all of the new scientific ideas are emerging that are feeding back into the culture.
Who's the guy that's
Yes.
Just quickly throw in the Wolfram project in there for the revolution of physics. Is anyone aware of Wolfram physics? Okay,
No.
that's very worth looking into because he is. The idea there is to